नमो लोये सव्वसाहुणम् ऐसो पंच नमुक्कारो सव्वपावपणासनो मंगलानि च सव्वेसिं पडमं हवै मंगलम् मंगलं भगवान् वीरो मंगलं गौतम प्रभु मंगलं स्थूलिभद्राद्या जैन धर्मोस्तु मंगलम् अंगूठे अमृत वसे लब्धि तणा भंडार श्री गुरु गौतम समरिये मन वांछित फल दाता ओंकारं बिंदु संयुक्तम नित्यं ध्यायन्ति योगिना कामदं मोक्षदं चैव ओंकाराय नमो नमः। अज्ञानां तिमिरान्धानां ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया नेत्रमुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। Jai Hind. First of all, let me thank those people who thought about having this session, particularly in the session where the youngster can also participate and get some fruits out of this. The task is a little bit tough in the sense that there are youngsters as well as there are other folks. For the benefit of both the group, I would start with English, but at the same time, I would also translate or speak in Gujarati. So we would do justice to both the group. Is it acceptable?
Yes.
Yes. Or anybody has any objection? We'll try to make sure that they get something out of it. The fundamental principle of any religion is make the people's life happy and full of pleasure. And that's exactly what everybody is striving. The question of the religion comes when we definitely and really define what the happiness and what the pleasure is. The difference is only the definition, but that changes the whole dimension of the way we live our life. Everybody wants peace and pleasure in the life. But what is the root origin of that peace and pleasure in the life? That has to be thought about it. You can't get the fruits without the seeds. Everybody knows that. And the fruits should match also the seeds, which has a capacity to produce those kind of fruits. The mango, if you want to taste the mango, you got to bow the seeds which has a capacity to produce the mango. Similarly, in order to get the peace, pleasure and happiness, one has to look into what are the root seeds for those things. And the second question we ask, that peace and pleasure and happiness, do you want temporary or everlasting? Any average intellectual person would say, well, I want the peace, I want the pleasure, and I want the happiness, not for temporary, but for permanent. Once I achieve, I don't want to give them up. This is a very common answer we get from this usual question. So if you want something which is everlasting, first we have to ask ourselves, the place where I am now, and the life that I have, and the surrounding that I am living in, has a capacity to get me that kind of happiness and pleasure which would last forever? And number two, even if I do achieve those tools from which I would derive the happiness, those tools are permanent or temporary. And third factor is, even if I have achieved those tools to derive the happiness and pleasure, would I be able to enjoy forever? And one thing is very sure, without doubt, you can debate about the tools and the quality of the life, but you cannot debate that nothing is going to stay forever, at least in this life. There is no debate. No matter how much treasure I have, I still have to live one day and go to the next life. Is there anything that I could do? Or is there any path which I can follow? Or are there any principle or tools which I can accrue by which I will get the peace and pleasure and happiness forever? And those things are not existing in the current worldly atmosphere. જે શાશ્વત સુખની અપેક્ષા આપણે રાખીએ છીએ કે એ સુખ આવ્યા પછી દુનિયાની અંદર જગતની અંદર આ જીવે ક્યારેય કોઈ પણ સુખની અપેક્ષા પણ કરવાની રહે નહીં. એવું જે સુખ છે એ આ દુનિયામાં અને આ જીવનની અંદર તો છે નહીં. હજારો લાખો કરોડો રૂપિયા ભર્યા હોય, ભેગા થયા હોય, શરીર પણ ખૂબ સુંદર, તંદુરસ્ત અને રૂપાળું હોય, પત્ની પરિવાર અને પણ સુંદર અને ઉત્તમ હોય, અને ચારે બાજુ આપણો જય જયકાર થતો હોય એવી પ્રતિષ્ઠા હોય, પણ આ પૈસો, આ પત્ની, આ પરિવાર અને આ પ્રતિષ્ઠા ને આ પદ એ કાયમ તો રહેવાના છે જ. અને because they are not going to last forever, once they disappear, then what? Misery, pain and suffering. જો આ બધી વસ્તુ જેના આધારે હું સુખનો અનુભવ કરી રહ્યો છું, એ બધી વસ્તુઓ જ્યારે ચાલી જશે ત્યારે મારા દુઃખનો કોઈ પાર નહીં. ગમે તેટલું રૂપ સુંદરવાળું શરીર હોય ખરું, પરંતુ એજિંગને કારણે that body would ultimately decay. Isn't it right? And the death is inevitable. Isn't it right? And when that stage will come, even though I have a lot of treasure and money and everything else, I will not be able to enjoy the way I am enjoying today. Is that correct? So, જે વસ્તુ પ્રાપ્ત કર્યા પછી જો એને ભોગવવા માટેની શક્તિ, ક્ષમતા ના હોય, ભોગવવા માટેનો સમય ના હોય, અને જેના દ્વારા આપણે ભોગવી રહ્યા છે એ શરીર અને જો ઇન્દ્રિયો ના હોય, તો એ બધી ટ્રેઝરને કરવાની છે. So, is there any solution now to make our soul and derive that happiness which is everlasting? That is a fundamental question. And the answer is yes. There are millions on millions of souls which have derived that eternal peace, bliss and happiness in this universe. And they enjoy the true inherent property of the happiness of the soul. Because ultimately, who enjoys the happiness? The body, the senses, or the soul? One has to say it is the soul which enjoys this happiness. The body is an inert substance. Right now, we cannot differentiate the soul and body because they are blended together. But we already know that once the person is dead, neither he eats, nor he drinks, nor he laughs, neither he cries. So what happened all of a sudden? What was the substance within that body who was crying, who was laughing, who was enjoying, who was getting angry, and who was expressing the pleasure? So there was some element inside that body, and that element we call soul. So that phenomenon expressed very clearly that the soul is different than the body. So something happened with the soul, nothing has happened. The only thing that happened, the soul, the body was the place of house to live, and that body, the soul has left and now has acquired a different body for which we are not known at this point because we don't have that capacity. So now to get the peace and bliss and happiness for eternal and for everlasting, we have found the path. And that path, what that path is, liberate the soul from the cycle of this birth and death, pain and suffering, misery, agony, disease, poverty, and all sort of things that we nobody ever wish. Now, what is that path that ultimately we call the liberation of the soul, or the another name of that is salvation? Is that clear? You are always welcome to ask questions. I will make this session very easy and comfortable. So we understand each and every terminology. કે આ જગતની અંદર આત્માને પરમ સુખની જો પ્રાપ્તિ કરવી હોય તો એક જ એ છે આત્માનું કલ્યાણ કરવું, અને એનો જે માર્ગ છે એ છે મોક્ષ માર્ગ. અને એ મોક્ષ માર્ગનું સ્વરૂપ આપણે સમજી લેવું જોઈએ, અને એ જે સ્વરૂપ હોય એને આપણા જીવનની અંદર જો અપનાવી લઈએ તો આ આત્માનું કલ્યાણ થયા વગર રહેતું નથી, સિવાય કે એની પાત્રતા હોય તો. આ શબ્દ છેલ્લો વધારે અગત્યનો છે. If you deserve, and if you make an effort, and if you do the endeavors, there is definite a path here which would succeed you to achieve the salvation. So we have to for now focus on what that path is consist of. જે મોક્ષ માર્ગ છે એનું સ્વરૂપ શું છે? And to understand in a very simplified form, I will give one very brief story. There was a farmer who was very rich. He had many farms. He was the most popular one. And because of the large grains amount, he was very rich. But at the same time, he was very busy also. And he got old. So he thought, he had 3 kids. He thought that ultimately I have to leave this world. And I have to find somebody or appoint somebody who can administer the affairs of my farming business. Now he had 3 sons. So whom he should appoint out of 3? So he wanted to find out of 3 who has that intellectual and administrative acumen and skill. Now he was near 80. So he decided that I have to find out this, out of 3 who will be the brilliant. So one day he calls all the 3 sons in his room, and he's telling that, listen, I'm going to give you 1 bead of rice to each of you. you. And whenever I need, I'll ask to return. શેઠ ખેતીના અઢળક સંપત્તિ હતી, પણ હવે એમનો સૂર્યાસ્તનો સમય હવે થઈ જવા આવેલો. એટલે એમને વિચાર્યું કે મારે મારા આ જે બિઝનેસ છે એને સંભાળનાર કોઈ યોગ્ય વારસદારને મારે શોધવો જોઈએ. 3 પુત્રો હતા. હવે 3માંથી યોગ્ય કોણ એનું એમને નિર્ણય કરવાનો. એક વખત 3 જણને બોલાયા અને કહ્યું કે જુઓ, હું તમને ચોખાના દાણા આપું છું. 3 જણ. અને જ્યારે મારે જરૂર પડશે ત્યારે હું પાછા લઈ જઈશ. So the farmer gives these grains to all the 3 kids. Now, eldest one started thinking that this father, he wants these few grains of rice back. We don't know. He did not tell the specific time period. So now my father has many farms and there are lots and tons of rice we can grow. So whenever he will ask, I will just bring the grains and give back. Why do I have to bother to keep them in a safe place? So he threw away those grains. મોટા છોકરાને બોલાવ્યો. એને વિચાર્યું કે ભાઈ આ થોડા ચોખાના દાણા છે, પિતાજી મને રાખવાના કયા છે, પણ જ્યારે પિતાજી જ્યારે માગશે ત્યારે હું આપણું ખેતર છે એમાં 1000 ટન ચોખા છે, એમાંથી થોડા ચોખા તો લાવીને આપી દઈશ, એમાં આ થોડા ચોખા રાખી મૂકવાની જરૂર છે. સો એને એ બધા ચોખાનું શું કર્યું? ફેંકી. પેલો વચલો હતો એને વિચાર આવ્યો કે આપણે ત્યાં રોજ ભાત તો થાય છે, હવે ક્યાં સુધી આ 3 રાખી મૂકવા? કાલે આપણે એની અંદર મૂકીએ ને રાજીને ખાઈ જઈએ, જ્યારે પિતાજી માગશે ત્યારે પાછા મારા ખેતરમાં તો ઘણા બધા છે જ. એટલે એને શું કર્યું? બીજે દિવસે જે રાંધવાનું હતું. So the second son, he thought that let us eat this rice tomorrow. And whenever father wants them, I can always get from our storage area and return. The third one was a genius. And he thought that we have lots and lots, tons of rice in our godown, and also they are growing on the farm. And still, my father gave me a few grains and asked me to return whenever he wants. There has to be some reason. ગોડાઉનની અંદર આટલા બધા કોથળા ભર્યા હોય અને છતાં મને આ થોડા ચોખા આપે અને પછી પાછું માગે. હવે જો પિતાજીને જોઈતા હોય તો ગોડાઉનમાંથી અને ફાર્મમાંથી ગમે ત્યારે લઈ શકે. So he thought, the third one, who was genius, he started thinking there has to be some reason. Now, then he also thought where to keep it. That was another thought he got. Remember, he was genius. If I keep somewhere in my room, those grains will be exactly the same and the same amount, right? In the room, the grains is not going to grow or multiply. So, we have a farms. Why not I put in the farms? Let us put the seeding. આપણે આટલા બધા ફાર્મ્સ છે, ખેતર છે, જો આ ચોખાને હું મૂકી જ રાખીશ કોઈ ડબ્બીમાં કે કન્ટેનરમાં તો એટલા ને એટલા જ રહેવાના છે, કદાચ વાસી પણ થઈ જાય અને જીવાત પણ પડે. એના કરતાં એવું કરું કે આપણા ખેતરની અંદર જ એને વાવી અને જ્યારે પિતાજી માગશે ત્યારે તો પાછા આવવાના જ છે. So he was a brilliant idea. So that is exactly what he did. He went to the farm and then started seeding them. So ultimately 1 year passed. The children, they forgot about this matter altogether. But the father remembered this. So next year, one day, he called all the 3 children. He asked the youngest one, the eldest one first, that you remember I gave you the grains? Yes, I do. First he said, no, I don't. And then he said, oh, I remember now. Okay, can you get me back? Oh, you want back? Oh, I don't have exactly the same, but I can go to our storage area and go down and get you. And then father said, no, that's okay. I don't need it. Then next day he called the second one. And then he asked the same thing. What happened? Oh, we have a plenty bags of rice in the godown. Why I have to keep them? So next day I put in our kitchen and cooked and we ate it. But if you want, I can get them. Now, he asked the third one. Same thing. And then he said, respectfully, Father, yes, I have those grain and I can get you back. But I have to go and get trucks first. Trucks. I'm asking for the rice that I give, not the trucks. But you know, the point is, I put in our farm and they are now growing so much. In order to bring, I have to have a truck. So with a few grains, he acted in such a way, so now he got how much? Plant. પેલા ત્રણેય જણાને બોલાયા, પહેલા કહ્યું કે ક્યાં છે પેલા ચોખા મેં આપેલા એ તો મેં ફેંકી દીધા, તમારે જોઈતા હોય તો ગોડાઉનમાંથી લઈ આવો. બીજાને પૂછ્યું તે શું કર્યું? એ તો નેક્સ્ટ ડે આપણે ભાત બનાવ્યા એમાં ખાઈ લીધું, તમારે જોઈતા હોય તો ગોડાઉનમાંથી લઈ આવો. અને ત્રીજાને કહ્યું તો એને કહ્યું આપણે તો ટ્રક જોઈએ, કારણ કે જે તમે જેટલા તમે આપેલા એટલા મેં ખેતરની અંદર મેં વાવ્યા અને 1 વર્ષ થયું એમાંથી તો કેટલા બધા ગ્રોથ થયેલા છે અને એને લાવવા માટે મારે શું જોઈશે? ટ્રક જોઈશે. Whom do you think, if you were the person to make a decision to appoint the administrator of the financial affair, whom would you select? Third one. Why?
Because he took care of the rice the best.
He took the care of the rice the best, right? You're not going to throw away, right? Neither you're going to eat, but you're going to put in such a manner. You're going to put in the seeding in the farm so it multiplies. Correct? Now we were talking about that path of salvation. Those 3 maneuver that has been done, and what are those rice? Number 1, number 2, number 3. Here also there are 3 jewels of rice. Now we already got the rice. Question is now what do you want to do? You know what those 3 rice are? Do you know? There is a chapter of Tattva Sutra. And it says very clearly, do you know who made that Tattva Sutra? It was derived. It was not derived, but he accumulated from the basic scripture. આપણા જે દ્વાદશાંગી જેને કહેવાય 45 આગમ, એમાંથી ડેરિવેટિવ સિમ્પ્લિસ્ટિક ફોર્મ ભદ્રબાહુ સ્વામી મહારાજા જે ચેપ્ટર લખ્યું એનું નામ છે તત્વાર સૂત્ર. અને એની અંદર એક શ્લોક આવે છે, સમ્યક દર્શન જ્ઞાન ચારિત્રાણી મોક્ષ માર્ગ. If you want to achieve the salvation, you need those 3 grains. અને આપણને મળ્યું છે જ્ઞાન, દર્શન અને ચારિત્ર. અને જ્ઞાન, in order to get the knowledge, where we go? School. That is the role of the Pathshala. Why we need the knowledge? That's another question now. Everybody thinks that they have a knowledge, but that is not the knowledge which could be utilized properly to achieve the goal of salvation. So we don't need a knowledge. We need a knowledge to achieve the worldly things and treasure and money, all those things. But we do not need only the knowledge to achieve the salvation. We need rational knowledge. જ્ઞાન એટલું માત્ર સુખી નથી બનાવતું. આધ્યાત્મિક દ્રષ્ટિએ સમ્યક જ્ઞાનની જરૂર પડે. Now the question will be asked, why we need a knowledge? What the knowledge can do? And what the ignorance can do? What happens if you don't have a knowledge, rational knowledge? We need three jewels: rational knowledge, rational perception, and rational conduct. Samyak darshan, samyak jnana, samyak charita. આ ત્રણનું કોમ્બિનેશન થાય ત્યારે જ salvationનો માર્ગ મળે છે. If one element is lacking, then you cannot achieve the goal that we want. Eternal peace and bliss is the product out of these three jewels. So now let us focus and talk something about why we need a rational knowledge. And if you don't have one, how lack of knowledge can make you unhappy, sad, anxious. And for that, we would look into one event. એક પ્રસંગ રજૂ કરું. એ પ્રસંગ પરથી આપણે સમજાશે કે સમ્યક જ્ઞાનની જરૂર શા માટે. જ્ઞાનનો અભાવ કેટલી મિઝરી, દુઃખ અને પીડા અને વેદના અને ચિંતા અને વ્યગ્રતા અને ભય પેદા કરે છે. In one city, there was a rich diamond merchant. His name was Premchand. He had a great business and had a transaction not nationally but internationally about the diamond. But you know, things change in the life at any given time, correct? Life is like a wheel which lifts one man up and sets another down. That can happen. And what happened in the same situation happens, that one of his businessmen with whom he was associated, they filed bankruptcy and could not pay the money that he owed. As a result, his business got collapsed. And also he was getting old. Now, what happened, he lost everything that he had in his possession, including his house and other belongings also. He had one kid. It was very painful and misery. Imagine one time when we have all the treasure and enjoy everything, and now there is nothing. But he was a wise man. He made a will. You know what is will. You prepare the documents, what could be done after your departure or death. And in that will, he has written like this, that we have three precious diamonds. Premchand Bhai Sheth, ઝવેરી હતા. એમની ખ્યાતિ બજારની અંદર શ્રેષ્ઠ કક્ષાની હતી. હજારો ને લાખોની સંપત્તિ. પણ એક દિવસ એવો આવ્યો, કોઈ બીજો એમનો ગ્રાહક હતો, એને બેન્ક્રપ્સી કરી. એને કારણે એમના ઘણા બધા પૈસા એમાં ચલાઈ ગયા. લોકોને ખબર પડી કે હવે પ્રેમચંદભાઈની પેઢી પણ તૂટવા માંડી છે. એટલે લોકો જે લોકો લેનાર હતા બધા દોડ્યા અને પૈસા માગવા માંડ્યા. બધા જ પૈસા ખતમ થઈ ગયા રહેવાનું પણ એમને વેચવું પડે, કારણ કે જેના પૈસા મૂકેલા હતા એ બધાને આપવાના હતા, અને ખોરડું પણ રહ્યું નહીં એવી પરિસ્થિતિ આવી. એમનો એક છોકરો હતો, ઉંમરલાયક પણ હતા, અને એમને છેલ્લે જતી વખતે જતા પહેલાં મૃત્યુ પહેલાં એક વિલ બનાવી, અને એ વિલની અંદર લખેલું એમના પુત્રને સંબોધ્યું કે આપણી પાસે શું રહ્યા છે? 3 નીલમ રહ્યા છે. જો તારે કટોકટીનો ટાઈમ આવે ત્યારે આ નીલમનો ઉપયોગ કરે. અને આ વિલ એમને હજી છોકરાને આપ્યું નથી. એમને તો એક એન્વેલપમાં આપી. He put in the envelope and sealed it and told his son, after my departure, if necessary, then you can open this. And you know what happened, the situation. It was despair. The family situation was very poor. But whatever way, his son tried to struggle and tried to survive. Now what happened one day? The envelope with a will and something inside was stolen. The box in which this envelope was there, and they contained what? 3 jewels. 3 નીલમ જેની અંદર મૂકેલા એ બોક્સ અને એનું એન્વેલપ એક વખત ચોરાઈ. Now you can imagine, first is a poverty. Second, the son doesn't know anything, no skill, no business, nothing, no source of income. And whatever was there to use at a critical time was stolen. So what could be the status of the mind of that family now? બધા ભેગા થયાને વાત કરી કે આ તો ચોરાઈ ગયું છે ને અત્યારના આપણી પરિસ્થિતિ બહુ કથળેલી છે, એટલે બધાને શું થાય? What everybody would feel, how they will feel? Sad. Pain. Anxiety. Right? Correct? How they are going to survive? 1 year passed and the time came. No, by the way, what happened? So they reported to the police department that something is stolen. After a lot of research, they found who had stolen it, and they got it back. So now everybody was happy. Oh, we got it. Now we will be able to survive. But he did not do anything yet. After a year, the marriage ceremony comes in the family. His sister. It was time for his sister to get married. And now he needed money desperately. Now everybody was counting on what? There was no asset left. There was nothing. They were barely surviving. But they were counting on and the jewels. પેલા એમને એમ લાગ્યું કે આપણી પાસે 3 નીલમ તો છે, વેચી કાઢીશું, અને જે પૈસા આવશે એમાંથી આપણું આ મેરેજનું લગ્નનો પ્રસંગ સચવાઈ જશે. So that time comes. Now this Premchand Bhai had a close friend called Amarchand. He was also in the diamond business, and they were very close. As a matter of fact, Amarchand was very poor at one point. He didn't have any business. So Premchand, being a friend, helped him out and lifted him up. So he knew very well. So what his son did, he took that envelope and the neelam and went to his office. એને પેલા અમરચંદને ત્યાં ગયો અને કહ્યું કે આની અંદર મેં બિલ વાંચ્યું, એમાં અમારા 3 નીલમ છે, એ નીલમને તમે ખરીદી લો, અને જે પૈસા આવે, કારણ કે અમારે અત્યારના ઘરની અંદર મેરેજ સેરેમની, my sister is about to be married and we have to finish this occasion. અમારો આ પ્રસંગ લગ્નનો જરૂરી છે, એટલે પૈસાની જરૂર છે. તમે આ નીલમ રાખી લો, વેચી મારો, અને એની સામે જેટલી પૈસા આવે એ અમને. Now, Amarchand, he saw the need and he started thinking. પેલા અમરચંદે નીલમ જોયા અને તું જવેરી હતી અને જોયું અને વિચારવા પડ્યું, કાકા કેમ વિચાર કરો છો? What are you thinking? The son is of the man is asking. Well, it appears that this is not a proper time to sell this. You will not get much money that I am expecting. And the son got disappointed. He said, well, I need the money because we have a marriage for my sister and we have to undertake that event. Don't worry. એક કામ કર, આ નીલમ તું રાખી દે. હમણાં રાખી. અને એમને પણ ખબર હતી કે આને કોઈ નોકરી ધંધા પાણી કોઈ છે. He was jobless, he had no income, there was no source of money. એટલે એમને એક કામ કર્યું, તું આ નીલમ તારી પાસે હમણાં રાખ, અત્યારના બજારની અંદર મંદી છે, એટલે તારા નીલમને જે આપણું ધારીએ છીએ એવું ઉપજશે. અને એવું કામ કર, કાલથી તું મારી પેઢી ઉપર જોબ કર. આમે તારા પિતાજીએ મારા પર ઘણો ઉપકાર કર્યો છે. એ ઉપકાર વાળવાનો સમય મને તો મળ્યો નથી, પણ આ ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી. Don't get worried. You come and work in my company on the salary base and keep those diamonds. When the time comes, we will talk about it. Now remember, when the diamonds were stolen, how they were anxious, sad, despair, right? Now, so he started, but he didn't know anything about this diamond industry. So he was trained. First, what type of diamond, how to look, how to taste, etc., etc. Everything related with the diamond, he got trained. And the 6 months passed. And once he is calling his son that bring tomorrow those diamonds, because now the market has changed. So, now this person, he goes home, he opens the envelope and he sees. Now he knows about the diamond, right? Now he has a knowledge. He got trained. So he thought, let me think how they are. And you know, those were the fake diamonds. He learned today, those were not the true diamonds. What could happen? What kind of feeling he gets? He comes, he gives to Amarchand, and he tells, now I know those diamonds are fake. You are the diamond merchant for 30 years and you didn't know that. How could that be? And you know what Amarchand said? You remember 6 months back you brought this, I saw. I knew those were fake, but I didn't tell you. You know why? He came with the expectation that those diamonds are true, correct? And what was the feeling in his heart at that time? I would sell these diamonds, get the money, and I would be able to. So he was not sad, or he was not in anxiety, he was not despair, he had a hope. As a matter of fact, the family member were keeping the hope that, okay, don't worry, even though we are poor, we have a diamond. So we could sell and get the money. So throughout this period, there was no anxiety, there was no unhappiness, there was no sadness. Because what?
Fake hope.
Let us understand the status of the mind. We are fundamentally coming to this point. What creates the status of your mind? Ignorance, lack of knowledge, even though they were not the true diamond, they were happy. But once the knowledge comes, once you know the reality, you really understand what is the true process of the mind. I knew those diamonds were fake. But I didn't want to tell you because otherwise you will get sad, anxious, anxiety, unhappiness. Your status of mind will change. But on the contrary, you were happy up to this point. What we are trying to derive out of this occasion? The knowledge is very vital to know the truth of the matter. We think with all these material things in the world, we would get happiness. Is that true? Or it is false?
True.
Anybody?
False.
So we think constantly we are having $1 million house and 2 cars and all the money is there, we will be happy. But do you think money can make you happy?
No.
And whatever that happiness is a mixture of happiness and unhappiness. And money can disappear at any point for whatever multiple reasons. Right? Those people who are playing games on the Wall Street, do you think they all make money and become millionaires? Even though they dream. Am I correct or wrong? આપણે માનીએ છીએ કે આપણે પૈસા આવી ગયા એટલે આપણને સુખ મળી ગયું. પણ ભલા સંપત્તિ એ સગવડ આપે છે પણ સલામતી નથી આપતી. The treasure, the money can give you the tools for enjoyment, but it doesn't give you security. A multi-millionaire living in the 5 million house can get heart attack and die instantly. Is that a possible scenario? Or somebody at night can come because of some disagreement in the business, come and fire gunshot and do murder. Is that a possible scenario? What happened? Those treasure, that money cannot secure. Think very, very deeply about this. Why to waste our energy and the human life just running after this treasure and money which may not make you happy or secure? Yes, for survival you do your duty. But don't get across and get the rational knowledge. From this story we learn that true knowledge is very vital. And what is the true knowledge? The one which uplifts my soul, which purifies my soul, and which can bring the great and good status of mind. You know what is status of mind? There are 6 different faculties of the status of mind. The first, which is extremely impure, which is described as a cruel and super degree of violence. There is no generosity, there is no mercy, there is no compassion. That status of mind, શાસ્ત્રકારોએ માનસિક પરિસ્થિતિ અને સ્થિતિ એના વિચારો પ્રમાણે મગજની સ્થિતિના 6 ડિફરન્ટ લેયર, 6 ડિફરન્ટ પ્રકાર કયા છે. અને એનું રિફ્લેક્શન આપણી એક્શનમાં આવે છે. The way we think, we act. Does anybody knows about these 6 status of mind among the kids or youngster?
Yeah, they should know.
The most cruel, most violent, the most passionate is called Krishnalesha.
There is no punishment even if you are wrong. He is not going to punish any of your kids. Yeah, there is no punishment.
એનાથી પણ ઓછી, the less violent.
It's the next one.
Wrong answer is fine.
In Neelish. The third one is called Kapotlesh. પછી કઈ આવે? Tejolesh. Then, very good. And the last, which is the most important, Shuklalesh. Very good. These are the status of mind. And the pathway of the salvation is nothing else but from Krishnalesha we have to migrate. We give up that Krishnalesha, and once you come and reach to the last one, the most pure, the supreme status of mind, which is called, which one? Everybody should speak. We're gonna now speak all together 6 lesha in a sequence. Krishnalesha, number 2, Neelesha, Kapodlesha, Tejolesha, Padmalesha ne Shuklalesha. And our goal is what? Whatever lesha preceding we have, ultimately we want the state of the mind which is called Shuklalesha. And this should be the goal. Now how do we derive? What is the tool? And the tool is this. And there are many tools, but one of the 2 tools that I will mention, one is the Prabhudarshan. Visualization of the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul. When you worship, we offer prayer, reverence and respect. That brings us from the extreme left, which is Krishnalesha. It's a gradual process. And that brings us towards the most pure. And then again, the last one, Supreme Lesha, Shuklalesha. There are millions of lives who could achieve this Shuklalesha from only this path. There is no other path in this universe. Whosoever achieved that Shuklalesha was the path of these. Number 1, Paramatmana Darshan, Pujan, and Seva. And that brings you the supreme happiness which has no parallelism, no comparison in any place in this world other than Siddhasila, which is the place where all the people, all the soul which achieved salvation, they ultimately reside and enjoy, only experience happiness, peace, bliss. And that happiness is an eternal happiness. આ છોય લેશિયા એ આપણા જુદા જુદા મગજની સ્થિતિ હોય છે. ક્રૂરતા, વાયલન્સ, હિંસા એ આપણી આ કૃષ્ણ લેશિયા છે. અને જીવનની અંદર આ પ્રવાહની અંદર જ્યારે જ્યારે કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ કે વ્યક્તિ સાથે આપણા આત્માનો સંયોગ થાય છે ત્યારે આમાંની કોક ને કોક તો લેશિયા હોય છે ને હોય છે. દૂધપાક મળી ગયો, ખાવાનું મિષ્ટાન મળી ગયું તો ખુશી થઈ ગઈ. પણ ન ખાવાનું ન ગમે એવું મળ્યું, મીઠું મળ્યું, ઓછું મળ્યું, ઠંડુ મળ્યું તો શું થઈ જાય છે? આવેશ. ચા ઠંડી. If you get a cold freeze tea, would you like? Or the food without salt, would you like? Would you like? Youngster, would you like? You want warm and sweet, right? Now imagine, in order of this pathway, just imagine that you have give up now this household and became a monk. Now you know the monk. Do they have a kitchen where they live? No. They have somebody to cook and warm it? No. How they derive their food?
Alms.
They go from place to different houses of the grahastha household. Shravak, જે હોય એમને ઘેર વોરવા જાય, right? બરાબર? એ વોરીને આવે પછી બધા સાધુઓ પાછા એ એકલા ખાય કે બધા સાથે વાપરે? Together. And first, you know what they have to do? They cannot just start eating. They have to show to their guru, because that belongs to whom? Ownership. Belongs. By that time, this is 1.5 hour past. Now 8 o'clock, they went to household, got this tea. By the time they are sitting now to actually consume, it's about 9:30, 1.5 hours. What do you think the temperature of that tea will be at that? Cold. Do they ever complain? Do they have a frustration? Do they have a passion of any kind? Or they just drink? Without any hesitation, change in the mental status towards that impurity. Padma, what is the Padmalaysia? If nobody knows what is Padmalaysia, samta bhav. જે કોઈ પરિસ્થિતિમાં જે કંઈ હોય, જે સ્વરૂપમાં હોય, એને ચિત્તની પ્રસન્નતા, the pleasure of the mind, without losing that, just eat. Do you know there are thousands of monks like this? Today, they are existing. Have you seen? Did you ever ask what kind of food you consume? How you get it? What is the condition? Why do I have to know this? You may ask, why do I have to know this? Because when you get the food which is not to your liking, don't complain. Don't enter the passion, oh, this is this is that, this is kind of thing. Don't get angry. Just accept what you have the way it is. If people stop complaining of anything in the family, what will be the atmosphere in the family? Peace. That's what we want. Isn't it? We don't want aggravation. We don't want anxiety. We don't want quarrel. We don't want noise. We want peace. And brotherhood. Loving. Helpful. This is what the religion is teaching. There is no time to talk about the second jewel, Samyak Darshan, because that's another 1 hour, even longer. But at least from this, what we have discussed today, we know the rational knowledge is very crucial. And there is no other place other than Pathshala. And it is a responsibility of the teachers also to make sure the people, the family who has handed over their kids to educate them, make sure the time and the efforts they are putting is worth. It's very crucial. If you don't do justice to your job, that means now you are doing injustice to those kids. And to do that first, your life has to be changed first. If you don't understand the principle and if you don't execute the principle fundamentals, how could you hold the position that you are holding and telling and claiming that we can hold this position and make these children educated? Have you changed your lifestyle first? Do you love Prabhu Darshan and Prabhu's Puja? તમને સામાયિકની રુચિ છે? તમને સ્વાધ્યાયની રુચિ છે? તમારે આ વિતરાગની વાણીને સાંભળવાની, વાંચવાની અને આની રુચિ થઈ છે તમને? તમે તમારા જીવનની અંદર જે રીતે આચાર કરો છો એ બધા આચાર જૈનિઝમ જેવા છે? જો એનો જવાબ ના આવતો હોય, then you are taking the responsibility which is not going to be materializing in the kids that the family is surrendering you. Isn't it that's an injustice? This is very vital and crucial here. If you cannot fulfill the responsibility in the manner that you have taken, then you have to think about it. Otherwise the kid, imagine the family puts the kid in the school and after 5 years also he doesn't learn ABC. Do you think the parents will wonder? They would not ask to the principal, what's wrong? My kid is coming for 5 years and he doesn't know even ABCD. What you people are doing? What I'm trying to say is this. Knowledge is very vital and it is crucial. And this is what the fundamental. We want to get rational knowledge, rational perception, and rational conduct. Conduct is very crucial, no matter how much you know. But if your action is not matching to your thoughts and principle, what good it is? This is what it is, the pathway of salvation. I hope, youngster, once again, I remind you, thank you and a lot of compliments for all of you being here in this session. It was really very enjoyable and I compliment from the bottom of my heart. I hope that you have learned the significance of knowledge, and when there is no knowledge and ignorance, what happens? Pain, anxiety, and suffering. And you want the truth, not the false and fake. And this is the fundamental principle of Jainism. આપણા જીવનની અંદર આ સમ્યક જ્ઞાનનો જે દીપક છે, knowledge is light. Knowledge is power. Shakti છે ના, પ્રકાશ. Without knowledge is all darkness. And what happens when the people are in the darkness? 10 people in the darkness in the one room, they collide with each other, right? But if there is a light, then they know. So we are colliding in this universe like this. And that brings unhappiness, sadness, and all these things. Human being is still better than the other animal kingdom. Correct? There is no even point of happiness in the animal kingdom. It's a miserable life. Who wants to be there? So we have to find out the way, a solution, so at least we can close the door for us going to the animal kingdom and hell. We want to keep at least human being or higher, and that can be obtained by the true rational knowledge, rational perception, and rational conduct. सम्यक दर्शन, सम्यक ज्ञान અને सम्यक ચારિત્ર, આ જ એક માર્ગ છે મોક્ષ. અને એના માટે જ્યાં જ્યાં જ્ઞાનની પરબ હોય ત્યાં આગળ પહોંચી આપણે આ જ્ઞાન મેળવી. અને જ્ઞાનની પરબ એ પાઠશાળા છે. પાઠશાળાની ઉન્નતિ થાય એના માટે બધાએ સક્રિય ફાળો આપવો જોઈએ. Again, I want to thank you for teachers or whosoever made this plan. I appreciate and thank you for giving me this opportunity. વિતરાગની આજ્ઞા વિરુદ્ધ કંઈ પણ મારાથી કહેવાયું, તમારા સૌની સાક્ષી મિચ્છામિ. સર્વમંગલમાંગલ્યં સર્વકલ્યાણકારણં પ્રણામ સર્વધર્માણાં જયં જયતિ શાસનम्.